in the week. Wow, 2 videos in 1 week. That is a
Like a
shocker for this
record.
channel.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's like
literally a
it's
record. But yeah, I am here joined again with Aries Gaming Productions. What's going on, Aries?
yo yo.
Yo yo, yeah. So we got done talking about Cyberpunk last night, and for anyone that tuned in or will look at that video in the future, I thank you so much for doing that. It means the world to me. I think we had a lot of great points in that last video, and I really enjoyed that. That was some big discussion stuff that I've been wanting to do for a while. I think we've already done it maybe a couple of times, but like this right here, like just being able to go over those things was awesome. So what we have
Yeah.
now today is our top 10 games that are coming out in 2023. And let me tell you what, we were both shocked when we came up with our list that we basically agreed on like 9 out of the 10 games for our
Yeah,
top 10.
because
Uh,
we were like, because the last one we were like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? And we just picked something from mine that Jay's like not particularly like too excited for, but like it's just something we were like, okay, well you know what, like we'll see ourselves, probably like at least uh uh being able to like see that at a top in a top 10 list for stuff that they've announced at least. So
sure. Yeah. So it kind of worked out. We'll definitely do some honorable mentions when we get down there, but this is our top 10. So funny enough, you want to do number 10 first? You want to start
yeah,
from
yeah.
number 10?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I'll do number 10. Number 10 is Street Fighter 6. Um like this is the one that we didn't that Jake did not have in his list, but I had on mine. Um and basically uh this was more for me, more so less. I'm the bigger fighting game consumer out of most of people that we play games with and stuff like that. So when I saw Street Fighter 6 got announced, my kind of bulb went off because, as I've talked about before on my stream and my channel, Street Fighter 5 a complete and utter disaster when it launched. Virtually no roster, no modes, no story mode, no arcade mode, nothing like that at all launched when the game happened. And basically, what ended up happening with Street Fighter 6 is that they basically looks like they said, "All right, if you didn't like how it launched, well, we're going to give you a bunch of shit at launch," which is exactly what they're advertising and what they're actually getting because the open beta is out now. So you have open world now. You have new characters, which honestly look like they're going to play really well. It doesn't look like anybody's doing anything busted. So character balance looks good. New game mechanics that they're introducing, including like drive rush, drive crash, I think it is, or drive impact is what it's actually called. Parries are back. Every character can parry, like kind of sort of similar to Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. Um, Supers look great. The animations look really good. They feel a lot more realistic. Like when somebody throws somebody, they're putting their weight behind it a little bit. So um, I do, I do really like what I'm seeing from it. I think it'll be just a fun game to like pop in the console, play with your friends. I think it'll be something where Capcom's kind of making a comeback. With I think Street Fighter 6. Uh, don't know what the future of the game will be after it launches. I'm sure there'll be more content that comes out from the DLC and stuff like that because Capcom loves to throw characters in the first, second, and third season kind of thing. Street Fighter 5 had 5 seasons of characters, so the roster ended up being pretty big. But that's what I'm more excited about right now, at least with caution because of, like I said, just the launch of Street Fighter 5 was kind of all over the place. But Street Fighter 6 looks really good, looks really promising. So I'm holding out hope for it, and I really want to get my hands on it. I believe the game comes out in March of 2023, which is not very far off. It's kind of right around the corner. So I'm definitely excited for that. It'll be something where if me and Die Hard play it together, I'll just casually whoop his ass, but it'll be fine. Yeah, it'll just be a game where you get to kind of bring people over to your place, play it, have a decent time laughing at each other. So about who's getting destroyed.
Yeah, so I'll definitely say fighting games are not really my forte. The only really fighting game I enjoyed was Injustice 2. And probably
Mm.
some point I'll try out the Mortal Kombat game that came out with like Rambo and all that other shit. So definitely
Oh,
want to try
11,
that
yeah.
out. Yeah, I'll try that out at some point. But not really my cup of tea. But definitely something to look forward to. That hopefully they can break the chain of just kind of disappointment that happened in Street Fighter Five.
Yeah.
So the next game is Wukong. So that's number 9. So I'm going to let you take over this one as well. But I will say that I am a bit Dark Souls out after Elden Ring. So it's kind of, from what I have heard from you, it's more of a type of Neo game. It's like Neo, the Neo series, which I played the very first one, got to the very end, and I'm gonna be honest, I was dog shit, and I couldn't beat it. But more so the other people played it, but I definitely did my best. I thought it was good. I thought it was really cool how they mixed, intermingled, Japanese history and main characters into the world of Neo. And very excited to see it. But yeah, Wukong's number 9. But I'll let you take this one as well.
Yeah, so Wukong definitely struck my interest just because they are doing it almost seems like they're doing a game retelling of the classical fictional novel Journey to the West, uh, which is one of like the oldest, most famous Chinese lore in their culture and their history. Um, if this gives you any idea, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z is based off of Journey to the West, so that's how big it is and how much of an impact it leads on to other fictional tales. Um, Based off of Sun Wukong, which is the main character in that series or that story. And it looks like the combat is definitely going to be a lot of Dark Souls, probably more so along the lines of what I think it's going to be, which is a combination of Dark Souls and Elden Ring with how it looks and how it's kind of moving, but also has some kind of a little bit of kind of Sekiro acrobatics because you're literally a monkey flipping around and shit. So I think that's definitely where they're going. It's going to be a mix of those three, I think. But the gameplay looks good. The actual like game itself looks amazing. It's from a Chinese studio that's making this, and you could definitely tell they're. It looks like they're putting a lot of love into just the world, how it looks, different things like that. But the stuff I did see of the combat, yeah, if you don't like Dark Souls, might not be the game for you. If you probably like a little bit of the Dark Souls stuff with a little bit of at least being able to move, unlike my problem with Dark Souls, you can't fucking move sometimes. But this game actually looks like you're flipping around, you're doing some acrobatics, like you've at least got some movement to where you can at least manage. You also are going to have the ability to transform. Sun Wukong famously has the 72 transformations, so that he's able to perform. That's going to be probably a big part of the game where you probably pick your transformations and things like that. But definitely excited about it. Um, don't know if I'll pick it up on the first day that it comes out. To be quite honest, I do want to see some of the reviews that come out about it. But I am still excited to see how that kind of plays out, and if they're able just to tell a really cool and engaging story with a already really a beloved story in general.
Not gonna lie, I thought you were gonna keep going.
Oh
Sorry,
no, no,
the way
the
you ended
end. Period.
that. So
The end.
yeah, well, make sure you end your sentence with a period. All right, so that is number 9, Wukong. Number 8, Spider-Man 2. So this is where I'll tap in.
Mhm.
I played Spider-Man 1 and a bit of Miles Morales, and I gotta say, Insomniac killed the Spider-Man series. They literally brought it back from the cusp
Yeah.
after just a plethora of Spider-Man games that were very just kind of lackluster. They tried to emulate what the best Spider-Man game of all time, Spider-Man 2. They tried to emulate it, but never could get their ground off like other companies. But then Insomniac comes around, and they just absolutely crush it with not only their web slinging mechanics. I know PT now Troglodyte Messiah. I know
Mhm.
that he was not a fan of the Spider-Man games. I loved it because I really felt the amount of verticality you have, the combo system, the combat, the web slinging, the utilities that you have. and also the suits that you're able to collect
Yeah.
as you play the game and unlocking these things gave you the ability of a new type of suits and suit abilities that you can then take that suit ability and apply it to whatever suit you wanted to wear, which was insanely awesome. It gave you such a level of not only immersion, but any suit you wore was in the cutscene. I can't emphasize enough how much I love games that do that. I think one of the earliest things I ever saw that did that was I think it was Force Unleashed 2 or Mass Effect. Like in those cutscenes, like
Yep.
how like you looked and what armor you were wearing is what you would wear. And I just remember just like being Spider-Man, and I will always rep the Scarlet Spider-Man. Him with
Mm.
that red suit and the blue hoodie jacket that's like with the cut off sleeves. That is forever my number one favorite suit of all time. And then like not only that, they came back and brought in extra suits from the old movies just because the fans wanted it, and they made them impeccable. So the new
Yes.
Spider-Man 2, and being able to have Miles Morales around. This is where they're also going to be touching in with Venom and the symbiote, which is going to be incredibly interesting and awesome. Which if they're bringing in Venom, you definitely know they're bringing in Carnage, and all these other villains that we did not see in the first Spider-Man. So Spider-Man 2 is definitely going to be a game that we're all going to have to be paying attention to when it comes out. I did think Miles Morales was very short, and I'm very glad to see that this next Spider-Man. I hope that he continued to play an important role that you can switch out which Spider-Man does what.
Yes. Yep.
Like depending on they'll either do it two ways, where it's free form, like whatever Spider-Man you choose to play as is how they interpret the missions, like it's them talking. Or B, they'll probably have like select missions where you play as one Spider-Man or the other. But my hope is that each Spider-Man continually, like just like how they made Miles Morales, like they feel very individual. They're not the same. They don't play the same. And I think that would be really cool if they implement that. Yeah. Any thoughts on Spider-Man 2? This is actually the first game that where we both could have thoughts on it.
Yeah.
Because the other two just were like I'm excited for him, but like not as excited as you, and
Yeah.
not as knowledge based with it. But go ahead.
Yeah. I do. Yeah, I do think Spider-Man 2 does need to be like that. You know, they still need to feel their own. You don't want to be swinging around as one and feel like you're swinging around as the same guy. And so I feel like if they nail that, that'll be pretty dope. I do think there'll probably be a situation where it'll. My theory is that basically the same as yours with the two prong type of approach, where they may just say, for this mission you're playing as Peter, for this mission you're playing as Miles, and or this part of the game at least. They may just have a part of the game where you do it, or they may just go a completely different route and they may just say, nope, you just get to pick which one you want to do, and that way it incentivizes you to do a second playthrough as the other Spider-Man. So that's I hope they honestly I hope they do either one of those, and so I think that way it'll add a little bit more of a flavor and a spice to it on that end. But that's just me. I kind of hope they do the second version of that, not the first one. I don't. It'll be confusing trying to get through the missions and switching. But I think if they do the second one, it'll add more replay value to the game, which was
Yeah.
the only problem sometimes with those games. Sometimes the replay value kind of vanishes if you have to keep doing the same missions that you've done a lot.
Yeah,
So
that's actually a really good point. Like, if there's anything they could do better on is like having more world activities and variation of the things that you do in
mhm.
terms of fighting crime and whatnot that make it feel a little bit more varied. I mean, they killed the world. They did such a good job with that.
Yes.
But it kind of gets annoying where you stop the car the same exact way, like
Hmm.
multiple times. It gets very annoying and very boring where you don't want to save the town. And I think that there needs to be more of like a system of like, hey, you doing these things nets you more either resources or nets you. I don't know. There's different. I'm not a game programmer, but I just think that the better you do in the world, like it incentivizes you to actually stop and help people as much as you can, rather than just being able to skip over them and not have any
Yeah.
consequences. I think that'd be something to really look at. Okay, so Spider-Man 2. So the next one that we're both very equally excited for is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Crisis Core. So, Final Fantasy VII Remake was incredible. I still need to beat it. I know I'm that guy. But I had to restart my game because I got the PS5 upgrade, and you have to restart your game basically. The way they do the
Mm.
whole getting your save from the PS4 to the PS5 is very dumb, and I didn't figure it out, so I just gave up. So, but Crisis Core is I'm really excited what they're going to do with this story. And here's my hope: they cut out the shitty parts of it, and they really buff the great parts of it. Because you have some insanely awesome characters in Crisis Core. We actually no. Let me rewind. They're not doing that. It's a remake. It's a remaster. Sorry.
Yeah,
Let
it's
me
a remaster.
rewind.
Yeah.
Thank you for. I'm glad I caught myself there. It's a
Yeah.
remaster, so they're not doing that. But it's a remaster of the tale of what happened before Final Fantasy VII. And though I do think there's some weird parts in there, here and there, some from the movie, of course, and then some from the game that I've seen like some playthroughs and all the cutscenes for. I am really excited to see a remaster of it so people can actually experience this other side to Final Fantasy VII they weren't able to before. And Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, if I'm correct, that's the next chapter, correct? That's what I
Yes,
thought.
that's gonna
Yeah.
be yeah. That's the next chapter. There's a way you can tell it's the next chapter, just by if everybody goes watch the trailer, you'll be able to tell it's the next part of the saga that they did with
Hmm.
starting off with with the Seven remake originally.
Yeah.
Uh, the fun thing about Crisis Core 2 that they've changed automatically when you see it in the trailer, the old voice actors are actually replaced in the remake with the new voice actors that are doing the Final Fantasy VII remake. So all the characters that you hear voiced in the remake are going to be the new ones for that they picked for the remaster of
Oh,
Crisis Core.
really?
So there is no
Wow.
George Newbern as Sephiroth. There is now the
Hmm.
new Sephiroth, which I think is played by, um, I think it's uh, Brian Heckler, who is the same guy that does
Uh-huh.
Superman and Lois. He's the new Superman. So,
Yeah.
uh, fun fact: Sephiroth has only been played by Superman, so which is hilarious to me. But new actors for I believe Angeal and Genesis, new actor for Zack, who came in Seven remake. So
Wow.
all the voices I think are still there. Guy who does Cloud makes a comeback because Cloud is in Crisis Core, so the
Yeah,
new
he
voice
is.
actor for
Yeah.
Cloud is in there. So
Yep.
all the new actors are in there. I'm interested to see what their takes are going to be on the younger versions of the characters. So that'll be very interesting. The updated combat stuff for Crisis Core does look good. I was afraid they were going to fuck with it a little too much. Um,
Hmm.
but it actually probably is going to look better because the one thing people I don't think liked about Crisis Core was the combat and how it felt a little bit RNG based on some parts of it. So I think this one's going for a lot more action, a lot more control of your character.
Nice.
So if anything, it's set up and looking like it may actually just be better version of the old Crisis Core that we all had to kind of slug through to get the story bits that we wanted.
And I think
So
that's going to be awesome because that's one of the things I heard a lot was that the combat was very lackluster in the original.
yeah,
And I think that if they come back swinging hard and they swing for the fences, and this game is, it's a home run. I mean, like I'm really hoping that it
mm,
is because like it's a great story. Like all the cutscenes are awesome. I love watching the cutscenes of Cry. I've actually watched all of them. I
yeah,
don't know if you know that or
hmm
not. I actually watched all of them one day
nice,
because I was really curious about the story side of it because I wasn't going to pick it up or buy it because I didn't have the console for it.
yeah, PSP,
So
yeah,
yeah, God, I actually did have a PSP back in the day, but I never got into
mm,
Final Fantasy 7. I never got into Final Fantasy on PSP. But yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to that for sure. So Rebirth and Crisis Core, it's going to be a great time. So the next one is something that I was surprised that you agreed with me on. Am I as excited for this like as other games? No, I still think there's still potential it's going to be good. It has been pushed back again, but I think that the new Suicide Squad is going to be either a phenomenal game or absolutely garbage.
yeah,
It's kind of like they're going for a cyberpunk here, and
mm,
that's really frustrating. So Suicide Squad, I mean, it's like an action game. I mean, like they have different characters you can play as. Captain Boomerang. Harley Quinn. Forgive me the other names. I'm terrible with
A
the names.
Deadshot.
Deadshot,
Uh,
yeah, definitely
yeah.
Deadshot. There's a couple others, but yeah. So I mean, you're basically killing the Superman, and Batman and all of them, just because they got. I'm pretty sure they got possessed from what I've seen of the trailers I've seen. So I mean, like I guess you're basically playing as the bad guys, which is gonna be kind of cool. Kind of trying to save the day, as they say. So I think there's a lot of potential for that to be really good. It looks like there's a lot of verticality to the combat where you're just like kind of flying across the map, beating the
Mhm.
crap out of people with your abilities. I am very curious to see, will this game pan out to be good? Because as of right now, I don't really know. Again, my faith in games, I really struggle with being excited for them as much as I used to anymore. Just because you have to be kind of careful these days of what you put your hype into. Because when your hype gets burnt, it's hard to be hyped for the next thing.
Yeah.
But that's my thoughts for Suicide Squad.
Yeah. I mean, basically, I'll basically just kind of ditto that. Uh, Not something I'm particularly like, oh my God, it's coming out. Like, I'm not like that. But I could see it also being, if it's really good, I could definitely see myself picking it up, playing it, enjoying it. I'm I'm DC over Marvel. That's just kind of how I am.
Same,
And
same, my man. I love DC.
and
Yeah.
and so if they do that Games from Justice, then I will definitely pick it up just because I'm interested to see what kind of story they're going to tell just based off it. I'm sure it'll be goofy. It's the Suicide Squad. They're going for the movie
Mm-hmm.
versions of kind of the feel to it. I'm thinking just from seeing it. So I'm interested to see what they'll do with it. But we could probably go on to our next one, which is
Right
number
ahead.
5. We had a Resident Evil 4 remake.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'll. So, fun fact about myself, just like how Jason not very uh, keen on the fighting games, I'm not very keen on the horror genre in
Yeah.
general.
Sadly.
I don't.
Damn.
I just don't. It doesn't appeal to me in the same way that it appeals to a lot of people. I did like Outlast. Outlast, I did like. Very much liked it.
Interesting.
I did
Really?
like Outlast a hell of a lot. It's like
Really?
one of the only games that's really creeped me the fuck out. And
That is
uh,
interesting. Okay, okay.
but didn't like Outlast 2 though.
Yeah, that game was
I
a
did
running
not.
simulator
I
through and
did,
through.
yeah,
Yeah,
I did not like that. First Outlast, classic.
yeah.
Um, but I think Resident Evil 4, and it is the only Resident Evil game I've played all the way through, and I absolutely loved the original Resident Evil 4. I loved it so much. I played through it twice and then never touched it again because I was like, fuck, if I play it 3 times, it's gonna ruin it for me. So I played through it twice. Still probably commercially one of the best Resident Evils that's ever been made. Um, period. And uh, I still need to play the remakes. I know the other remakes are also fantastic from what everybody keeps saying. Um, and 7, I think a lot of people liked 7, but
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
the
no, they
thing is like
did. They
it's
did. Yeah.
yeah. So it was because I think that's the one with the humongous woman who's like a vampire or
Well, hold on.
whatever.
Finish your thoughts. I want to tap on that
Yeah.
later. Finish your
Okay.
thoughts.
Yeah. But basically that's it. I mean, I'm interested to see what they're gonna do with it.
For sure.
I wonder if it's even gonna be remotely similar, or if it's just gonna be basically like the same story with a little bit more of an added pad to it. But it is a remake. So that's my thing. If it's a remake, then I wonder. I even wonder if the QTEs are going to be in there. They may not be. The QTEs may be gone, and it may just be replaced with the cutscene. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know, but it looks really good, just from the trailers and stuff. So I'm interested to see when it comes out.
So this is where I'm really excited to tap in because I remember when I was a kid, I was watching my cousin play PS2 and he was playing Resident Evil. I'll never forget he just threw me the controller. I was freaking out because I literally could not comprehend the controls. I thought they were so frustrating as a kid. I was like, how am I supposed to play this? I keep being killed by the monks in the temple, and the
Oh
castle,
yeah.
just continually being shat on. But the one thing I've always loved about Resident Evil 4 is just its damn aesthetic. Leon is, yeah, he's a freaking G, dude. Like he's awesome. Not a G'd, a G. But but like he is so awesome because like his character development changes from the second game into the fourth. Because I mean the second game, bro, that's PS1. He was looking a lot of pics, not a lot of polygons.
Yeah,
Back
my
then.
man. He was
Yeah,
polygoned out. Yeah.
no, not a lot. Yeah, the economy was rough back then. The thing is I played all the Resident Evils except three. I didn't play zero. I just didn't care to play it. And I didn't. I've not picked up. I played the new two remake. But I did not play the third remake because I heard that was garbage and I did not like it, to be honest.
Mm.
And yeah, but anyway, back to it just so I don't get distracted. So Resident Evil 4 remake, they haven't shown a whole lot. They've shown a little bit of gameplay,
Mm.
shaking up, letting you know like what it's going to look like and whatnot. I was a big fan of the controls. I actually really liked the controls of Resident Evil 4 because what made it tense was the controls and having to maneuver around. Resident Evil 2 changed that up quite a bit, where like it's being able to move around. It's not you're not locked into one direction. Resident Evil 4 you're locked into one direction. Had to kind of like hold X to even move fast, like to kind of do your little jog. This is more of a thing where I'm wondering. We don't know for certain, and this is what they're going to stick to the same. I guarantee that they're going to be going Resident Evil 2 remake style with it. My only
Mm.
concerns as of right now with how Resident Evil 4 is looking like is that he looks like the exact same as he looked like in Resident Evil 2 remake. And there's a problem with that in my opinion. So Resident Evil 2 remake, Leon is very young. Nothing wrong with being young. But in Resident Evil 4, in the OG Resident Evil 4, he was very seasoned. Like he spent like the next few years after that incident, like training and becoming a badass. Where he's just a little bit more, he's more adult now. Like I mean, he's a professional.
Mm.
And I can't make any judgment calls yet. I'm only basing it upon how he's looking right now from the cutscenes. Um, but I'm hoping that this new game brings a new level of maturity to his character. Because in Resident Evil 2 Remake, I think they did his character really well. As a young, first day on the job cop, what a terrible first day Raccoon City incident.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Terrible first day. God dang. So I think there's a lot of potential. What I am terrified of is if they veer too far off from what made Resident Evil 4 amazing. What made the style. Resident Evil 4 is not really a scary game. If you really
No.
think about it, it's not a scary game. It's more action than it is horror. But my hope is that they kind of add a little bit more horror details into the storyline because I think it needs it for sure. I was not a fan of Village. I think the story is honestly pretty garbage. The set
Mm.
pieces are stupid. They make no sense. I did not like it. The combat's fine. I just felt like Resident Evil Village. I mean, the world is gorgeous. The enemies are terrifying, but just the set pieces themselves and the storyline is really very subpar. And some people may
Mm.
crucify me for saying that. I was in a playthrough of Village on my channel, and I just got bored with it because it was so unbelievable what was going on. So my hope is that they don't go that route with this new Resident Evil 4 remake. So anyway, enough of that because I love Resident Evil. I love Resident Evil. That's my shit. Okay, next one is Like a Dragon Inshin, number 4.
Yes.
I'm a big Yakuza fan. I've not played all of them, but the one I did play was Yakuza 0, and I messed around with, I think, Yakuza 6. And I think Yakuza 2, I can't remember. And they're really great games. The story is awesome in Yakuza 0. I encourage anyone that's not played Yakuza 0 to stop what you're doing and play it. Because the combat is awesome. It's really engaging. I mean, it's really well done. Like, those games where like you feel you just get so overpowered that like you can just stomp everybody. That's not what's going to happen in this game. The boss fights are very well done. I mean, you're just
They're
getting into it.
tough.
They're
Yeah.
tough. You have to actually be smart with what you're doing. And what the reason why I'm so excited about Inshin is that this takes place in a whole new time period than what we've seen in Yakuza. This is like Meiji period Japan, where like there's guns, like revolvers, like Magnum revolvers, and in combination with katanas and swordplay, where like you're with a gang organization for what I'm assuming, and I think that's going to be insanely awesome. It is a complete tone shift from what we're used to. It is a complete culture shift of like not culture, more like time shift than what we're used to. Because you're always used to like towns and cities and like modern day or like 1990s like era type Yakuza games. But right here, you're getting like a whole new time period, which I think is going to open up so much potential for just insane plot things to happen. Like and awesome fights, new like it's the same combat but new stylized combat that is kind of made manifest by the time period that they're in. So that's why I'm excited for it because it's gonna be freaking badass. But let me know your
Yes.
thoughts, Aries.
Yeah, I mean, Yakuza is like it's just one of those games too where every time that like something like crazy happens, like you're just like, "Oh, dude, that's fucking sick," or like that's neat or that's badass. That's basically what that game genre is. Like it's just cool shit happening over and over again. It's really hard not to like a Yakuza game. It really you have to try to not like it. The game is just built for fun. And I think since it's the same guys that are working on this that did Yakuza, and it's definitely the same style, I think it'll be. I think it's the same guys that are working on it. I think it's the same studio, but yeah, just the time period change is going to be neat. Yakuza is a little bit more modern, where this is going to take it back. Yeah, at least a little bit around the Meiji area from what it looks like. And I am definitely excited for it. Yakuza's fun. This game, if it follows the same format, will be fun too. And I just like the time period change overall because it'll probably give you a little bit more
Yes.
incentive to be like, hey, I'm a gang. I'm part of like this, gang. We suppose, but even if he's not, this guy may just be like aloof. This guy just may like a samurai Champloo type of thing, where he's just like maybe he's just like a Ronin that gets mixed up with some bad folks, but they hire him for shit. Like we don't know quite frankly, but like if even if it works out either one of those ways, you have the setup for a really good era that does not get explored very much in games. It's basically either the warring states or it's basically like very very medieval Japan, where this is going to bring it closer to the modern era, but close enough to where it's still a little bit closer to uh, kind of the towards the ending of the Tokugawa regime. So it's very very interesting, and I want to see what they want to do with it. I'm really excited for that one in particular, and some of these other ones that we're going to get to on the list here. So
Yeah. Very well said. So the next one, we're on number three now, is an interesting one. I was actually really shocked
hmm.
that you had this on yours.
Oh yeah, no, I was too.
Very
Yeah.
surprised. Hogwarts Legacy. Now,
Mhm.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I am not a pessimist. Like I'm not very pessimistic. I like to look at the positive sides of the world of the world when I can. But it's not that I'm pessimistic; it's that I'm realistic. I am very nervous about this game.
Mm.
I'm very nervous about it because that's a lot of shoes to fill to make a game out of something as iconic as the Harry Potter universe. It's very difficult to encapsulate what makes it good. Biggest problem is there's not going to be any Quidditch. There's
Mhm.
no Quidditch in the game at release, which is like what? That's like one of the biggest things that happens in Harry Potter. There's literally a Quidditch match every movie. Moving on. Except the last two. I'm sorry because they're having the damn war. But sorry
Yeah.
about that. Oh, spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah. Spoiler.
But
Voldemort's back.
Jesus Christ. Why? Whoa,
Spoiler.
whoa, 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 whoa,
Voldemort. He's
whoa.
back.
Wow, you just literally spoiled like every single Harry Potter movie, you fuck.
Had
Okay.
20 years to watch it, bitches. Yeah.
That's very is that wow, I feel old now.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Hogwarts Legacy, there's a lot of potential that it's going to be. I think it's going to be a good game. I'll be positive here. I think it's going to be really good. There's no microtransactions. They have said that, like
Thank
what the
God.
game that you get is what you get. I hope there's going to be DLC that flesh out the world more, that adds more things to do. I am hoping and praying for replayability.
Yes.
I would love to like go through the game once, like be this like badass like student, and then out of nowhere like I can do New Game Plus and I can just
They
destroy
just start
everything,
swamping people.
just
Yeah.
swamping people. Leviosa, more like Leviosa, like just
Leviosa.
ruin people's day. Like I would love something like that where I think
Yes.
that'd be really cool. But the only problem that I'm just nervous that like the scope of a lot of gaming developers these days.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because Cyberpunk, that they claimed a lot, they didn't reap a
Yes.
lot,
Yes.
and so I think that there's a lot of potential that it's going to be a good game. But you may be wondering, Professor, why are you getting more negative as you go up higher on the list?
Yeah.
It's and but you have to
We're
understand.
negative. Yeah, we're negative. Well, I can say I'm actually probably a little bit more optimistic, but the which is strange,
That
but
is strange, in my
uh,
opinion. But like, you have to have, for things that you were the most excited about, you have to have the most caution.
yes, yeah,
And it's not because like, oh, you just need to have more faith. No, it's because I had faith and it got
yeah.
stomped on.
Wait till we get to number one, because I'm cautious.
Oh, that
Yeah,
and number two and
yes,
number one.
yeah.
Oof. So, but yeah, go ahead with your thoughts on Hogwarts.
Yeah, so the reason why it's a mix. So the reason why I'm excited about it, I'm a very big Harry Potter fan. I've read all the books, front to cover. I love them. Love the books. I love the movies. I think the movies are cinematic classics.
Me and my
I think
family
it's
saw
got
it
it.
every year together.
Yep.
We saw every one
My
that came out. Yep.
so fun fact. My father actually hates sci-fi. He loves Harry Potter.
That is
It's the
so interesting.
It's the only thing that he'll go watch a movie that's sci-fi. It's the only one. He won't go see Predator. He won't go see Alien. He won't go. He has a hard time going to see action movies, but he'll go watch some damn Harry Potter for sure. And it's so strange. But uh, but anyway, the thing I do like about it is that personally, I think Warner Brothers has made some of my favorite games, actually, if I think about it, over the past decade. And part of that is because they made Middle Earth Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor. A lot of people forget that WB was actually the one that made that. They're making this game too. Now, it's not the same studio, of course. But the reason I think I like what they're doing is because they're basically explaining, like, hey, if you'd want to do this stuff, you could. If you want to maybe just do this stuff, you can. And I'm excited about that. That's the part where I'm also cautious about it because they're saying, hey, if you want to, you could just make potions all day, or hey, you can go out to the game facility and like do all this crazy shit. You can go out to the woods and like explore and like do all this sort of stuff. And I'm like, okay, there's a lot of shit going on
You're
that
getting a
you're
lot.
thinking that you can do,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so, like if from what I saw about the little spells and the combat stuff, even that looks kind of neat because it looks like you're for a lot of the times I think they're just kind of showing you out in the open. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a cover system where like what they do in the movies. If somebody's launching a death spell at you, you don't try to like deflect all of them. Like you get behind a rock and you're tossing shit back at them. Like, there's not a lot of fights in Harry Potter in the later movies where they're all just standing in line like with muskets and firing off shots at each other. Like they're going behind cover and like being smart about it. So I think if it's something, if the combat's anything remotely similar to what we see in the movies, and like it has that eerie effect with the wands meeting, that little crackle sound that they do and stuff like that. If it feels like the movie, people are gonna like it. If it feels like something that was very tossed together and very much you feel like they scrapped the whole idea and made something in 8 months, the game will bomb. And people like Angry Joe will be the first one that plays it and starts ripping that thing a new asshole. And his
Yeah,
review will be
yeah.
hilarious on it because he liked it. He saw the trailer and he was like, "Yeah, this looks fucking dope." And I was like, "Same, dude. This looks fucking crazy."
Yeah, and like that,
However,
yeah, and
yeah,
that's the
it's
thing.
that part of it. Yeah.
It's that part of it that like you get the right marketing company, anything looks good, and
Mm,
that's the problem. Which I
mm.
mean, could it be good potentially? But who
Yeah.
knows? So we're on a little bit of
I will
time.
say, yeah. I must say, just for the sake of time, I will say this. I think the game looks good. If they do it, this is going to be a very fun game to play. If they do it right, that's going to
Yeah.
be a fun game.
All right. So going to the next one is because we have
Mm,
probably 10 more minutes to go on this
mm,
before we have to cut it. Starfield. That's number two.
mm.
That was kind of like my number one that I am excited for, but I will make my synopsis on this as quickly as possible. Just kind of like, hit what needs to be hit and not just over talk over dumb things. So, because I do that a lot, I ramble. So, Starfield is definitely the game I have been looking forward to for actually a while. I'll never forget. I was talking. I talked to Star about you to Starfield quite a few times
Mm.
actually.
Yeah. Hmm.
Just like just the idea of like how good this game could be. But this was also during around the Fallout 4 time period where we got that release trailer for
Yeah.
Starfield, and then 76 came out. Then a lot of people got really blah blah blah, about Bethesda,
Nervous.
which
Hmm.
was 100% deserved.
Yes.
So Starfield, I think, has a lot of potential to be amazing, but but it is on the bones of an engine that needs to be shot
To
um,
death.
to death. So here's the thing, Bethesda. This is it, man. If y'all do this again with what y'all did with 76, if y'all do it again, I I probably I 100% will not be playing any more of your games. 76 was a bad test. You thought you had a cool idea. A lot of people thought it'd be cool, and then they realized this is just boring as fuck. And I really and sincerely hope that this next thing that you do is going to be amazing because there's a lot of worlds to explore. I hope all those things have things that are randomly generated that emphasize replayability. That the story is just awesome. That it hooks you. The factions you join matter, and you can actually join a faction, not just be like a deputy sheriff to them. Like I want to feel like I'm a part of. I want to. I'm going to be honest with you. This is the one game where I just want to join the bad guys. The bad guys look really cool. It's like a mercenary group that they look dope. Just look them up. I kind of just want to join them. Screw the being the good guys this time around. I want to do that. So Bethesda has a lot to live up to with this game. This is the game that Todd Howard's been wanting to make for years, and I think that this is their time to make it if they can pull it off. But that's all I'd say on Starfield.
Yeah, I think so. This is where me and Professor had kind of a little bit varying thing on it. I'm not as excited for it as he is, but I am excited for the fact that if Bethesda, I think, pulls it off, which is possible, um, because Bethesda has made some of my favorite games of the past like 10 or 15 years. They made Skyrim, they made Oblivion, they made Fallout for 3 and 4, not New Vegas. That was Obsidian,
Well,
but
no. Well,
yeah.
Oblivion was the same as well with New Vegas. They
Oh yeah, that's
yeah,
right. Yeah, yeah, okay.
but they
But
still had a huge part in making those games.
yes,
Yeah.
they had a huge part in it. So I'm just excited for the fact that if they pull this off, people will be singing the praises of Bethesda again. They will be worshiping the literal like scrotum. They will be licking it from Bethesda. They will be worshiping their ass again. And that's what I kind of feel like Bethesda was before a lot of the things that people didn't like about 76. And like that was the big thing. So I am excited for Starfield if it comes out and it's work and it's functional, and you can do some really cool things in there. Um, I am all for it. If it comes out and it bombs, I'll kind of be also expecting that too, just because Bethesda was kind of shitty on 76.
I
But
am
I'm
fully
excited for it
expecting.
anyway.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting to go either way. And
Mm.
you do the last one. This is where we end it.
Okay, so our number one, we kind of had this a little bit uh, relative on our list, but I think we can probably, for the most part, agree since we are more so probably me, but you came into the fold on the Final Fantasy train was Final Fantasy 16. That is our number one most anticipated or most excited for game of 2023. I've been following that 16 development for a good bit now, just checking on some of the articles and stuff. The greatest thing that I think is happening with the game right now is that the kaiju stuff that they're doing looks really cool. It's not good. It's not like the Final Fantasy 15 where you fight that giant fucking tortoise and it's weird and stuff, and you're like a pint-sized person. There's like kaiju battles, and you can see like on the gameplay that's basically like a big Godzilla fight with summons from the Final Fantasy world. It's a very medieval setting. It's got a very gritty, dark, earthy feel to the characters from what you can see on the trailers. And the best thing about it is that the producer of this game is Yoshi P, or Naoki Yoshida, the same guy that is the director of this game that we're sitting in right now with Final Fantasy XIV. And the director of the game is I believe, the gameplay developer for Dragon's Dogma. And he's the one directing it. And you can tell definitely by the combat, if you've seen the trailers for the combat. It feels very Final Fantasy VII Remake-ish / Dragon's Dogma-ish with how the combat looks so far from what we've seen. But I'm just excited. It's a new mainline Final Fantasy story. I think the main character actually looks pretty sick. He's got kind of a 1990s grunge band hairdo going on, so he doesn't look too anime. He actually looks like he could live in a medieval time. And I'm interested to see the story. They haven't really talked too much about the stuff going on in the story, just besides the fact that there are people chosen to be summons and things like that, or they're born with it. So I'm interested to see what they do with the story. I think the gameplay looks good for right now. We just need to see a tad bit more of how some of those mechanics work and see how the combat flows. But that's all I've got to say really about it. I'm more excited for that just because, again, mainline Final Fantasy, big Final Fantasy nerd here, and I just want to see how well they accomplish the goal that they're trying to go with the game.
Yeah, for sure. I think Final Fantasy 16 is going to be a throwback to what made Final Fantasy in terms of the world. I feel like they've done a lot of futuristic stuff these last few
Yeah.
entries, and in all the other side games, and I think that's fine. That's totally fine and well. I'm a big sucker for those type of things. I do think that a kind of like a change of pace to kind of go back home to like those medieval roots can really make this game like really shine. And I'm excited for the story. I mean, I've not followed as much on it as you have because I mean you're the Final Fantasy nut. But I do love Final Fantasy myself though, but not as much as you do. So there's some things I don't know it's all going to be in the game, but I do think that this is probably going to be one of the probably top game of the year contender for sure
Mm.
when it comes out. And yeah, that's all I really have to say on that. So that's our top 10 list. I know there was probably some that probably didn't get mentioned on some of the things that we had mentioned here, but I actually had to cut the stream here. But guys, I just got to say I enjoyed this. I think that there's a lot of good things coming our way in 2023. And if you liked the video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and check out Aries Gaming Productions for his stuff that he's doing. He's going to be doing some more streams here soon. So
Yeah, because I
yeah,
finally figured out what's wrong with my mic. Yeah.
he literally
So,
muted himself.
yeah. God.
Sad day. He literally muted himself and he never realized it.
Literally muted myself.
That's espresso
On
depresso.
multiple videos, yeah. So we're all YouTubers, yeah.
Yeah.
but
But yeah,
yeah,
guys, that is it. I hope you guys liked it. Definitely leave a like and let us know if you enjoyed this and what you want to see more of and what your top 10 games of 2023 are going to be. So catch you guys on the flippy flop. Deuces.
deuces.